Now, over the past decade, Israel has become known as a powerhouse for innovations, helping to improve people's everyday lives. And today, Israel's innovators are focusing their efforts where they're needed most, attempting to tackle the threat of COVID-19. Well, a new book called Tikkun Olam, or Healing the World, shows how citizens of the startup nation are adapting. And here to tell us more about the new book is author Jody Cohen. Jody, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so happy to be talking about this book. I wish it was on maybe a more positive subject.
Absolutely.
Okay, many companies around the world are trying to find solutions, though, to this problem. What makes Israeli solutions maybe so unique?
So I think what's unique to Israeli society is, as a society, we're used to being agile. We're used to being in a permanent state of defense. Things come up that's unexpected and we have to suddenly react as a society. So in terms of the Israeli innovation and the startup world, what I've seen from researching this book is that they have really addressed this in the same way. Every startup has really looked inward and thought, what can we use our technology for? How can we pivot our technology to try and do something to help tackle the pandemic? And I think particularly as we're seeing numbers rise around the world and we're seeing some countries already in a second wave, some countries heading towards a second wave, the book is important because it really gives cause for optimism. It really does show just how much work is being done across Israel in all different areas, whether it's trying to prevent the spread or through testing or through caring for patients or the crucial search for treatments and vaccines.
All right, now what brought you towards this book in particular?
Well, I was in lockdown, as everybody else was, not really knowing what day it was. And I had the idea for this book. I mean, part of my work is writing for pharmaceutical companies, medtech companies, and healthcare innovation companies. So it's not unusual to my work. I was actually talking to my 13-year-old son, and he was talking about how, unfortunately, when bad things happen in the world, very often people blame Israel and the Jewish people, and we're seeing that, unfortunately, especially on social media. And when he said that to me, I thought, okay, I have to do something. And I think this story is really important, especially in the context of anti-Semitism, because education is crucial. This book basically highlights 30 case studies across all different areas of what Israel's doing to try and tackle the coronavirus. We don't know if these, or I should say, I wouldn't say if, we don't know which solutions will succeed. A lot of them, they're in trials in major hospitals. They're going through trials as we speak. But it's a very positive sign that so much is being done.
All right, well, so now you said there's like 30-something case studies in here. What's one of your favorites?
There are actually, that's a really hard question. Can I sneak in two?
You can, I'll allow it.
Okay, so let's have a look at treatment and vaccines. So very, very quickly, on the treatment front, there's a company called Pluristem. And I love this idea because they take the placenta, which, as we know, gives life to babies. And they take cells from the placenta and they use it to treat people who have a number of conditions. And they've already been working on that for a number of years. But they are now looking at how these placenta cells can help people who are at severe risk of dying from coronavirus. And they've just announced a 28-day follow-up study on patients who were almost dying from coronavirus, and 87% of them are still alive. So I think that's showing amazing promise. Wow. And the other one is Migvax. They were researching for a number of years the coronavirus in the context of poultry. And when the genetic sequence of the human coronavirus was announced, they realized it's almost identical. So now they're doing trials looking into that. Eventually, they're not at the stage of human testing yet, but the hope is that that will be an oral vaccine, which will help protect people from the coronavirus. And I would also say that for people to get updates, this is a story of the opening chapter, if you like, of Israel's fight against the coronavirus. But if people want updates, they should go to tikkunolamIsrael.com, and I'll be updating on the innovations that are featured in the book and also other innovations that we hear of as days pass.
All right, well, Tikkun Olam, Israel versus COVID-19 by Jody Cohen. Thank you so much for coming. If you want to get a copy of this book, check it out on Amazon. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.